Today, we're jumping right into a profound, honestly kind of mysterious exploration of the hidden forces that shape who you are. We're going to be guided by the revolutionary insights of depth psychologist Carl Jung, specifically his concept of the journey to the authentic self. Seriously, ask yourself, is your life truly your own? Or is it just a script written by society? I mean, how much of your identity is a reflection of the real you, and how much is just a carefully constructed mask shaped by external pressures, how you were raised, or those little fears always whispering in the back of your mind? How often do you feel like you're just playing a role? Carl Jung had this incredibly powerful belief. He said, life doesn't truly begin until you find yourself. But what does that actually mean in practice? Is it just about being a little more self-aware, or is there a massive transformative process at play here, one that most people frankly avoid their entire lives? Let's dive in. To really get this, we've got to start at the beginning. Part 1, the mask we wear. You see, Jung didn't buy into the idea that mental well-being was just about blending in and adjusting to societal norms. But the reality is, most of us remain completely trapped inside a version of ourselves that's been shaped entirely by outside expectations. We constantly seek validation from the world while totally ignoring this quiet, unshakable unrest deep down. Jung called this the persona. It's essentially the face we present to the world so we can function in society, navigate our relationships, and, just gain acceptance. Over time, we build this mask to hide the parts of ourselves that others might disapprove of. Maybe you were told you're too sensitive, or that being angry is bad. So what do? You tuck those traits away. But here's the danger. The more we identify with this mask, the more we lose touch with who we really are. We literally forget that there's a real person buried underneath it all. And this conditioning, it happens so gradually over our entire lifespan. Look at this. From the very moment of birth, we're handed names and predefined roles. Then, as we move through childhood, we start suppressing those unapproved parts of ourselves just to keep the peace or win affection from our parents. By the time we hit adulthood, we identify completely with that social mask. We literally become our job title, the polite neighbor, the compliant citizen. The whole process is so subtle that we almost never stop to question it. But here's the thing. Those parts of ourselves that we hide, they don't just magically disappear. That brings us to part 2, confronting the shadow. We are now crossing the threshold from the conscious, everyday world we're used to, down into the vast, hidden, and, let's be honest, pretty uncomfortable depths of our own unconscious mind. Down here is where we find the shadow. It's made up of everything we've rejected, feared, or suppressed within ourselves. We're talking our deepest fears, our unspoken desires, our vulnerabilities, and even our untapped potential. True self-discovery absolutely requires confronting these insecurities, instead of just running away from them. And it's so crucial to understand that ignoring the shadow doesn't make it vanish. Simply refusing to look at it just forces it to operate from the dark corners of our minds, secretly pulling the strings on our thoughts, behaviors, and emotional reactions. Because, these rejected parts have a funny way of manifesting unconsciously. For example, have you ever intensely disliked someone but you couldn't really pinpoint why? Or maybe you've been deeply triggered by certain behaviors in other people. Well, Jung believed that is very often your own hidden shadow projecting itself right onto them. When we're super disturbed by qualities in someone else, it's usually because those exact same qualities are hiding within our own shadow. But it's not all doom and gloom. The shadow also holds incredible hidden strengths, creativity, and passions that we've just been too afraid to claim because they didn't neatly fit into our perfectly crafted societal persona. So this sets up the ultimate inner conflict. It's this stark division between who we pretend to be and what we secretly harbor. On one side, you have the persona. It's conscious, it desperately seeks validation, and it's carefully curated for the whole world to see. And then, on the exact opposite side, you have the shadow. Unconscious, holding on to all those unacknowledged desires, and representing everything we actively try to hide. Now, let's look at how this builds into the universal forces guiding this whole inner adventure in part 3, Awakening the Archetypes. Finding yourself is a lot more complex than just waking up and making a conscious decision to change. It actually involves uncovering these deep-rooted patterns that have shaped human existence for thousands of years. Jung called these ancient patterns archetypes. Think of them as universal psychological blueprints. They're stored in what he called the collective unconscious, which is this profound layer of the psyche shared by all human beings and inherited directly from our ancestors. So we're not just talking about fictional characters in myths or movies here. These are very real, very powerful psychological forces that dictate your daily choices, your relationships, and how you perceive the entire world around you. Let's break down a few of these archetypal forces that are actively operating inside you right now. The hero, the wise mentor, the shadowy villain, and the innocent child. Take the hero archetype, for instance. That's the part of you that is longing for a greater purpose, the part seeking to overcome obstacles, to reach a higher version of yourself. But the hero doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? It constantly has to battle the inner shadow, the shadowy villain, before any true evolution can happen. So whenever you desperately want to make a change in your life, but self-sabotage keeps holding you back, that is quite literally the hero and the shadow battling it out within you. And there are other profound forces at play too, like the anima and the animus. Jung theorized that within every man there's a hidden feminine side, the anima, which represents intuition, emotion, and creativity. And within every woman there's a hidden masculine side, the animus, representing logic, structure, and discipline. Now to be clear, this isn't about physical gender at all. It's entirely about the balance of energies within our psyche. Embracing and finding a harmony between these internal masculine and feminine energies, rather than suppressing them, is absolutely required if a person wants to feel truly whole. This brings us to a really critical philosophical threshold in our exploration. Part 4, Beyond the Ego. Now we have to confront what is arguably the deepest illusion of all, an illusion that's woven into the very fabric of how we perceive reality itself, the ego. The ego is that part of the mind that creates a sense of separation. It's that little voice in your head insisting, this is who I am and this is who I am not. It builds walls and it clings incredibly tightly to familiar labels. Now, the ego isn't inherently evil. It actually serves a functional purpose, helping us navigate the physical world. But its absolute desperate need for rigid borders and fixed identities, that is actually your biggest obstacle to true self-discovery. Jung realized that the self is not a static entity. Instead, it is fluid, ever-changing, and a vast interconnected field of consciousness. The version of you that you identify with right now, the person you genuinely think you are, is merely a tiny, tiny fragment of a much larger, limitless consciousness. Literally everything you believe yourself to be, all your fears and perceived limitations, they're just temporary frameworks built by the mind. But if the self is really that limitless, how do we actually step into the fullness of our existence? That is exactly what we're covering in Part 5, The Path to Wholeness. The beautiful thing is, Jung didn't just leave us with abstract theories. He offered an incredibly empowering roadmap to reclaim our true selves and break free from the illusions holding us back. He called this path of transformation individuation. Individuation is the lifelong psychological journey of integrating all aspects of the self, both the light and the dark, the known and the unknown, to become entirely whole. Jung's ultimate goal wasn't just to make you, better at following society's rules. His goal was to help you unlock infinite possibilities by challenging you to integrate your shadow and become who you truly authentically are. So, how do we actually pull this off? Well, Jung laid out 4 practical steps. First up, you must embrace the unknown. Yes, it represents uncertainty, but the unknown is literally where all growth happens. Second, release your attachment to labels. You are so far beyond just your name, your past, or your job title. Third, listen to the unconscious. Pay really close attention to your dreams, your instincts, and your deep intuitions, because they are direct messages guiding you toward wholeness. And finally, surrender to the process. Finding yourself is an ongoing journey of unfolding deeper and deeper layers of truth. It's not just a final destination you magically arrive at one day. And that leads us to this ultimate, just beautiful revelation. You were never truly lost. The self you have been seeking has been within you all along. It's just been waiting for you to remember it. Once you realize this, you stop running from the discomfort. You close the loop of the inner hero's journey and return right back to the profound wisdom you already possessed from the start. So, I'll leave you with this final, provocative thought. Will you step forward into the unknown and become the limitless being you were meant to be? The choice is entirely yours. You can keep living as a fragment bound by old fears, or you can drop the mask, integrate the shadow, and let your true life begin today. Because remember, life doesn't truly begin until you find yourself. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.